And we're live. What's going on, Tim? How you doing, bro?
Greetings. How
So,
is what is your channel called? It's like the
the Papasaw
Papasaw.
podcast. It's a very clever name. I love it. And,
How's your channel doing?
hey man, I got 78 subscribers, so it's like whatever, dude.
It's a good start, eh? I just
It,
cracked 500.
yeah.
Um, Tom Gibbett, who everybody loves, he just cracked 1,000. So kind of sucks that that guy's twice as cool as I am, even though
Tom
the
Gibbets.
flying monkeys hate him.
Uzulu? Is he Uzulu?
Yeah, Uzulu. Uzalu.
Uzulu. Yeah, I heard a little bit about him. Not I guess I'm not supposed to be a big fan of him. Really, I don't like the guy because he's a bit of a cunt. The way
He's less liked than me. Like that's quite a.
well, I mean, you're likable. I think to a lot of people you're salvageable. That's how they look at you. So you have some regressive ideas, but you're not as bad. You're definitely not as bad as that atheist ranger dude, from what I can tell. Even though I saw that video of yours, but
Who?
atheist ranger. I told you to watch that hangout, that abortion of a hangout Reese was in, and then I came in and just lost my shit.
I didn't watch it, eh? But he's got atheist in the name. That's got to give him some cred just
Yeah,
automatically.
man. Yeah, dude. It should be called Dipshit Ranger, but Atheist Ranger it is. So, man, we're coming in here because yesterday Julian sent me a link to talk about one of your videos you made. But I really want to get to
talk anyways.
We did. Y'all talked. I kind of stayed out of it because I needed some sleep. But he gave me the link, and I was real interested by it. And I saw it, and at first I was like, "Are you serious? Do you really think like this?" But once once you told me what you were thinking about and why you asked those questions the way you did, and you went back to TJ's, I guess the whole group video, which I love. I love that video.
You said my video gave you AIDS or something.
I said I think it's gonna give me cancer or some shit like that. But
well, fuck, I'm sorry, man. I don't want to give you cancer.
Yeah, man, we're close to it. We'll see what happens. But that's why you're here to question yourself, man. This is why you're here to question me about my anti-regressive mentality, or what you say, anti-SJWs? Because I'm an
look, like this is like a point of contention with me, anyways. Like I don't even acknowledge that regressive and SJW and shit are like even words, and like people disagree with me on that because like they've watched so much material bashing like regressives and SJWs and shit that it's just taken as a given that those are like things. But to me, I mean, I'm like a progressive, and then if someone wants to call me an SJW or regressive or whatever, I just like phone it out because I don't give a fuck, because it's like that's not an argument and shit, you know, just like you're a regressive. I mean, it's like, well, fine. I mean, wait, what does that even fucking mean? Like,
okay, well, I'll tell you what a regressive is. Okay, let's say it isn't a word, which it is a word, because I mean we're using it, obviously. It's a word, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, regressive.
I think what you're saying is, what does it mean overall? So regressive is. So, for instance, to me, a regressive is this. So, Black Lives Matter. You said that you're becoming more interested with Black Lives Matter. I think because
what do you mean?
You told me in the DM that you wanted to talk more about the Black Lives Matter.
Oh, yeah.
So, to me, a regressive is someone who staunchly believes in the Black Lives Matters and thinks everything they're saying is true, and they legitimately have some grievances, which they don't, because math will show that more white people are being shot by cops versus black people, and it will also show that black people commit more crimes.
Yeah, but you just set two different standards. You said agrees with everything and thinks they have legitimate grievances, and I think those are two different things. Because
what I mean is,
because I can acknowledge that they have grievances that they perceive to be legitimate, whether or not other people agree with them, but agree with everything Black Lives Matter.
We'll agree with. Let's say this. Agree with a lot of it. How about that? Or agree, or think that they're a good movement. How about that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so my whole thing was, I guess you hated that video TJ did, and I did pull out some questions that, well, not questions, but I guess bookmarks of things that you would be mad at or hate, and I guess the questioning of the SJWs. What was it that you hated?
I'm a lover. I don't hate. I just
okay.
I thought it was funny. It was just funny.
Okay, well, what was the problems you had with it?
With that video, you said, well, the first thing is I couldn't tell whether that Christians to SJW things was a joke or it was serious. Like, was it a joke or was it serious?
What do you mean with Christians and this? I'm sorry, I didn't follow you. My bad.
Aren't we talking about that video TJ made with like all those other people? Like,
yeah. Well, what do you mean by joke? You saw it as a joke?
Well, somebody said to me they were just parodying BuzzFeed, because BuzzFeed, like, people are like, oh, I guess you like BuzzFeed and shit. I think BuzzFeed's stupid. Like they ask stupid questions and they make dumb videos like questions feminists have for men, and then they ask like, I don't know, they ask stupid shit like,
Okay.
why do you think it's okay to do blah blah blah? They're like real dumb questions. And then someone was saying like, nah, like AIU and TJ were just parodying that style of stupid question.
Yeah, but they were putting them in questions that in a way that SJWs do see things like that, like this idea
Maybe,
that
but like I got an example. You know, Undoomed. His question was, why do you want to bring back? Because he's got that funny voice. Bring back racial segregation, or whatever.
okay,
And
but
I didn't know what that question meant, and I was like sitting there thinking about it, like, what does that mean? And then someone told me on Twitter, like, he was talking about Black Lives Matter, and I was like, well, why wasn't he more specific? Why didn't he just say like, why do you?
I think you're looking at it too. You're looking at it too, like anally. I guess is a wrong word, but that's how I see it.
Anal.
Black one and Black Lives Matter. They do want segregation. I mean, in a lot of ways. I'm not saying that they want all black bathroom and an all white bathroom, but in a lot of ways they do. I mean, did you not hear that story? I think it was Washington or Toronto that they denied a sale of a T-shirt to a white person just simply because he was white.
Black Lives Matter activists or whatever.
Doesn't matter. Still, Black Lives Matter. I mean, I don't know if there's like a headquarters.
I mean, those guys who were selling the shirts were Black Lives Matter people.
Yeah,
like,
but I mean, but it's a group mentality of Black Lives Matter. They have that group mentality.
Right, but you were asking the problem that I have with that video.
Yeah.
I thought questions were fucking stupid because I thought like, unless you like know that narrative about Black Lives Matter, when you hear a question like, why do you want to bring back racial segregation? Like, I just didn't know what he was talking about. Someone else had to tell me.
Okay. What about universities in London? I mean, they literally told gay men they can't be speakers of the LGBT community at a university.
Like just black people in general. I mean, I don't know if it's a controversial statement, but I mean, it's true based on polling, like how people say like, you know, Muslims think this and that because of polling. Like black people are more homophobic than black.
Yeah, I mean they are. No, that's not controversial.
Based on polls and shit, you know.
I mean,
so.
yeah, no, I mean that's not
but,
controversial.
Of course, I apply the same standard to them as I do to like Muslims.
Okay, well, I mean,
therefore say if you're black, you are probably like you are homophobic. I'm like, you know, you have to actually find out.
No, but I mean, that's the thing. That's why when you see guys like Devin Tracy or whoever, or you know, Live Life or Drew, or they always have to say not all. Yeah. I think it has to be common sense when someone says black people are like this. They're not saying all black people are like this or all Muslims are like this. It's just it's generally seen coming from them. Like when you say Muslims cause 99.7% of all terrorist attacks around the world. I'm not saying every single Muslim's doing that, but a good number is, large number is.
What is that based on, by the way? Like 99% of terrorism?
It's just of all terrorist attacks that happen around the world. I mean,
no, I mean like what statistic? Like what's the resource or whatever?
I mean, I don't know. News sources, Wikipedia, just any kind of news source. I know it's silly to say Wikipedia, but I mean, it's not like they're that disingenuous.
No, I mean, I've just heard that. I guess I could just Google it, but I've heard people say that. Let's
just take this month so far.
I've seen the poll, the Pew polls on like Islamic homophobia and you know all that shit. I've seen all that stuff, like the Sam Harris shit that he's always talking about. I've seen those, but I haven't seen this 99% of terrorists.
Well, I mean, if you just take this month in general, if you look at all the terrorist attacks right now, they're at least, we'll say 95, 96% terrorist attacks done by Muslims. I mean, you can look at them. They'll even show you one by one what are they, you know, who's causing it and from which group and all that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of where you get that number from. I mean, can you think of any other religious background person causing any terrorist attacks recently that you know of?
Not recently. I mean, I know that, you know, for example, there was the Buddhists killing the.
Okay, that's how recently it was.
And shit in Myanmar and Burma and stuff, and I know that there's like Christians who kill people in like Africa and shit. But besides that, I'm not really sure. I know there's like regimes, for example, like the North Korean regime and Chinese regime, and like, you know, the fucking Russians bombing shit and everything. But that's not quite so religious. It's a bit more political, I guess. But North Korea is kind of like a state religion, so.
Okay.
I mean, That's like a pseudo religion.
But they're not doing anything outside the world. They're not causing any terrorist attacks around the world or anything like that.
Well, yeah, they're just kind of fucking up their own people, really. So
they are fucking up their own people, and that is wrong. And I mean, I do think it is in our interest to, try to help them or stop that. But I mean, I did pull some questions out of that video, and what did it?
Oh, wait, quickly, I just want to make a point. Like, you were saying, like, they always have to add the caveats, not all and shit. But I feel like if you're just more specific in the way that you phrase stuff, you don't have to bother saying not all, because people just know what they're doing.
I think they're always specific on what they're saying.
I don't agree. I think a lot of the problem is that people are just real fucking vague about who they're talking about. I know some people are like, yes, all Muslims are like heroes on
Unstoppable videos. He's pretty specific. I mean, he's pretty. He says he gives you stats, and then on top of it, he has to even make sure that he's saying not all. To make sure that no one tries to flag him, and at the end of the day, he still gets flagged, and his channel people still try to cancel his channel.
I've never flagged him.
I'll believe you on that, man. I mean, that's you're not. It's just suspicious how you saying that now, man. I'm just saying.
Sure.
But I'm saying, okay, for instance,
I just think that's where a lot of the criticism comes from, is people perceiving that the atheist community is being extremely like flippant about the groups they're talking about and shit. And I think like that's where a lot of this like quote unquote regressive SJW shit comes from. It's just people being like, you're kind of bundling up all these other people. I think that's the way that people feel about it. Or they're like, because they have one fucked up view, you bundle them in with like the terrorists that have like, monumentally fucked up views. There's kind of like degrees of fucked upness of Muslims, obviously. But people who have ignorant, stupid, fucked up views are all over the place.
Yeah,
and yes, a bunch of them are Muslims.
So, for instance, we do know that the Quran is fucked up, right? Would you admit that it's the most fucked up religion out there? Would you admit that?
In terms of the materials?
The materials, in terms of people following it to the T, and throwing gays off buildings and chopping heads off, and
I think in terms of people trying to follow it today, yes, I agree. I think if you compare the Bible and the Quran, I know like people would like that's outdated, that shit. We're talking about now. We're not talking about the past. I know Devin Tracy would say that shit. Okay. I mean the Old Testament Bible. It's all kind of fucked up. Whatever.
No. But if you're comparing the Old Testament to the Quran, then you would have an argument. But who follows the Old Testament? I don't know anyone who follows the Old Testament. Everyone.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm saying that would just be like dismissed. But I'm just like saying anyways. But yes, for people who follow it today, or try to follow it, yes, for sure. Like I agree.
Okay, but I mean, but this is the one problem people do have with regressives or SJWs. The reason why they call people SJWs. Because they go out of the way to bring up shit from the past. They always do that. They always bring shit up from the past. Like it would be anything with the black community, they bring up slavery and civil rights. Or when it comes to Islam, they bring up the Crusades, which really the Muslims started because they invaded Spain and the Christians retaliated, and they kept on retaliating and they kept on invading. But people even bring that up. What I'm saying is, let's live in the present, and as it stands right now, if we want to be legit, Islam is the worst religion by far.
I think in terms of how it plays out in the world right now, yes, I agree with that. But I think a lot of it, and I've had this theory before, I don't know what anyone thinks of it, is conservatism, like conservative interpretations of that shit. Because, I mean, I don't know, a lot of people probably like flying monkeys hate liberals and shit, but the more liberally,
Devin Tracy's a liberal. I mean, I think the vast majority. I mean, I can't say the vast majority because I would be wrong. I mean, but I would say if we had to say a good number of the flying monkeys are liberals. I think they just don't like seeing what's going on with the liberals today, with this, political correctness and this safe space and trigger warnings and can't say this. If you cat call a chick, you're somehow raping her. I mean, no one. Overall, the party, the left has become batshit crazy, and I think a lot of people are leaning towards Devin Tracy, and people like him because he speaks common sense. I mean, I'm from the left.
But don't people realize that shit has not changed? Like, in for example, the '60s, like all the bra burning, and like the '70s and shit, and all the stuff that was going on back there. I mean, like, you could say that the left has been, or at least like those people on the left have been batshit crazy for like decades and decades. It's like, it's not anything new. That's why when everyone was like,
what do you mean? Like, what burning? You mean like? I'm
Oh, in the
sorry.
70s when they're like women burning their bras on the college campuses, being like, "We don't want the
Yeah,
oppressive
but the thing
patriarchy
was, I
and
mean,
men and all
okay,
this
so
shit."
if we're gonna get on feminist, I mean, the
And like,
feminist,
and well, not to go into that, but I'm just saying like
yeah.
the left has been that way for like decades, and like
Well, no, I'm
that's
not saying
why.
that some of those tactics are wrong. I'm just saying
Yeah.
don't bitch about silly things. I mean, the feminists of the 70s honestly had reasons. They weren't equal to men in a lot of ways. They were, I mean, they weren't paid equally to men. I mean, now this whole like 70 cents to a dollar is bullshit. But back
So are
then,
you
yeah, they had their
saying?
reasons.
So you're saying this like SJW regressive label came about because they achieved equality but kept trying, and they should have
No,
just
I mean, yeah, it
given
did, but
up.
I also think that they have nothing going for their lives. That's just how I see it. I think they're a bunch of kids. It's mainly coming from younger people and people our ages.
Well, now you're just being a psychologist because
I'm not being a.
if
Now, okay,
because
but
if you look at fucking humans, man, all their fucking lives are empty. You know, it doesn't matter what goddamn side they're on. Like, you know, there's
no,
heaps of
but
atheists
okay,
going on and on about Islam because they
okay.
got nothing else to fucking
So
do.
70 different types of genders. What do you think about that? I mean, we're living in a world. If you say you're a
I
male or a female, some people could get offended by that. That
all,
is
all
coming
I'll
from the
say
left.
is all I'll say is I haven't met many people of the 68 other genders in my
Yeah,
life.
same here. But why is there 70 genders? I don't
I
understand
don't
that.
know, but it doesn't affect me. It's just
Of
some
course, it
stupid
doesn't
shit
affect you. But the thing is,
in the news.
we're slowly living in a world where people will literally get offended if you say, "Hey, what's up, bro?" Well, how do you know I'm a bro?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a female. Really, dude? My bad. I'm just calling it
But I
like I
mean,
see it.
but has that happened in your life? Like, have you been
No, no,
have you ever
no,
talked to someone and they've been call me G, or
no,
like call
no,
me
no,
Joe or some
no.
shit?
I never. That's never personally happened to me. But so, for instance, back to the whole argument with the Atheist Ranger, right? Me, Reese got in a huge. I wouldn't even say debate. It was an ass stomping. Me and Reese put on these guys, and I said Muhammad was a faggot. I didn't mean because Muhammad banged a little girl and he's a pedophile that I'm saying faggots are pedophiles, but I didn't mean it that he's a fag because he's gay. It's just kind of a cuss word. And this guy lost his shit on me. He's like, "Oh, thanks, dude." I was like, what do you mean, thanks, dude?" He's like, "So
Well,
you're
look,
just yeah, go ahead."
I think that's kind of like edgelordism. And I'm used to that on the internet. Like, if someone's like, "Why don't you rape yourself with a knife and fuck your mother with I don't know nails or something?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's just internet people. They just say shit like
Well,
that."
no, but you know Alec Baldwin, whatever.
Who?
What's his name? The actor. The
Alec
Baldwin.
Baldwin.
Yeah,
Baldwin bro.
he was being followed by paparazzi, and he literally went out of his car and said, "Fuck you, faggot, for following me." And everyone lost their shit on the dude because he said faggot.
And
But
he's
they're not
fairly
looking at the
liberal,
fact that this
that guy.
paparazzi dude was like following his ass and tailgating him. They're just looking at the word faggot, so that means he hates all gay people.
Yeah.
I mean that
Oh, I
does
see
come from
what
the left.
yeah, okay.
That does
What
come from
angle
the
you're
left.
coming
The
from.
whole don't use this word, don't say this word, don't say this. It's annoying and it's pussifying people. That's how I see it.
What does pussifying mean?
They're making people pussies. Well,
Right.
was it?
What does that look like? Do you just mean like in terms of being offended by stuff? Whatever.
Has
Do you mean
anyone
like
ever said you're being a pussy right now?
yeah, but like normally they say that because they are just like idiots who don't like me, so they just call me a name or something, and then I'm like, well,
I
fuck
mean,
you then.
yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't like you, Tim. We're trying to get people to like you again, man. We're trying
But
to make
like
Tim great again.
I don't really care if people like me.
All right, fair enough, man. I like
But
you,
I
man.
do, but like I do care if they find my videos funny. And Julian didn't like my video. That fucking awesome.
But we're gonna get onto your video because I get what you're trying to do. But dude, I think when I say someone's being a pussy, I just mean they're being weak. They're being bitches on a topic that they shouldn't even be worrying about.
Isn't cuck the same meaning as pussy, basically? I mean, or bitch, or like you're a cuck.
Sort of, but I think when someone says you're being cucked, I don't know, man. The whole logic around cuck. I mean, I'm just throwing it around these days, but I don't even know what it means.
Because I'm like, I'm not gonna let my. Well, I mean, I've had no agreement with my girlfriend for her to like sleep with other dudes, so I don't know if you're applying it to me properly. Like,
just take it as an insult. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's why I think it's just like bitch. Cuck,
so on TJ's video, what
weakling,
problems did you have with it?
beta male. Oh, I was gonna say
because I do live in a country where if you don't like BLM or Black Lives Matter, it is racist.
I think that's stupid. not you, stupid. I think that point of view is like Mr. Repsion's question was, why do you think black people, I mean, white people are born racist? And then
Yeah,
I was
but
just
that's the
like,
thing that you live in New Zealand, and I'm not trying to throw that card at you because some people do. You live in New Zealand. You don't in the States. People generally believe if you're born white, you're automatically racist, or you have no idea about any other race.
is there polling on that or something? Like,
No, I mean, dude, you'll have it. I was told I have white privilege because I simply said Alton Sterling had it coming because he resisted arrest and was going for a gun. He was a dipshit, and all my friends were literally calling me racist, bigot, and a piece of shit, and told
I
me I
wouldn't
have
call you
white
a
privilege.
racist.
Yeah,
I
all
wouldn't call
my
you
friends,
racist, but
all
I
my
would
friends.
say on that, I would say on that, I don't know what you mean by had it coming because I
Okay,
understand. No, I understand that like a situation can turn bad and then you have to defend yourself and like shoot someone or whatever. But I don't agree with this idea that therefore it was like a good idea to shoot the guy. Like you
okay,
never
but
really
okay,
know
but
for sure.
oh,
I
you
don't want
never
to
know
second
for
guess the
sure. But I
police,
mean,
but
you're
you
asking
know.
a cop to take that kind of chance, especially with a dude who has a history of crime.
Right, but I don't know how people know. Therefore, him
Well, he was going for a
dying was
gun.
like, yeah, but we don't fully know the details.
We don't fully know the details, but why do people automatically assume that it was just racism? Why is it always racism when it's a white cop and a black person? Because
I,
it is.
I,
It is.
I
It is.
honestly, I can't find where the overlap is between a heightened state of fear and racism, or whether there is one. Because like, I can't read people's fucking souls.
No, but
I
but
don't know if
but,
people are
but people
racist.
do see it as racism. You can talk to
Well,
anyone in the chat. There are people who we deal with every day or see online or out in the real world where they see that as racism. They see it as a racist white cop shooting
but
a black man. That's how they see it.
but I take this shit on a individual basis, and
Okay.
there's no doubt that some of these shootings would be racist or are racist. But
Which
I also
ones?
think
Which ones do you think are
um,
racist? How about that? If I had to ask you,
no, but
Michael
that's
Brown.
no, but that's the thing that I'm saying is that I don't know for sure. So I'm not willing to say as clearly as other people that this or that is racism. You know, um, but I also know that it's impossible that none of these shootings were racially motivated. But I don't want to get into like the details of what is or isn't because I feel like everybody acts like they have the fucking answer.
Well,
Even
yeah.
people I talk to that support the police are like, "Oh, he was reaching, he had it coming. They had to kill him.
Okay.
They
Okay.
had to do
Okay. Hold
this.
on.
They had to do that." And like
Okay,
they're second guessing too. They think they're
there's
fucking
a
expert
video. There's a video of the
on
dude going
everything.
for his gun on the ground
Of who?
of Alton Sterling, the dude in Louisiana.
What? It was in his pocket, wasn't it?
I mean, how else is he gonna? What does he have it up his ass? Yeah, I mean, it's in his pocket. That's where he was going for it.
No, it could be somewhere else. It could be like on the ground or like somewhere where you
Yeah,
can visit.
it
No,
doesn't.
but then you'd be but then you'd be able to visibly see him reaching for it. If his hand was just going towards
Okay,
his
okay.
pocket.
Let's say that it's on video. We right now have the cop saying he was
Yeah,
going for a gun, right?
yeah. I mean,
I
but that's
believe
just
there is a gun. I could be wrong, but there is a gun. That's his gun. Could be
yeah.
wrong. But there's video evidence of him trying to go for his gun. Why don't we? And I'm not saying this is you because I think people too try to lump you in with the Black Lives Matter and all that, and you think like that. But why don't we let the system have its chance and investigate it, right? Because they
Well,
do
because
investigate these things.
people also believe that the system is corrupt, and
Well,
I mean,
then, I
you
mean, if you never
might
have trust
disagree
in the
with that,
system,
but
then the system's going to always seem corrupt to you. So even if you're one of those people
if
who
you what?
think this, yeah, there's people out there who think the system's corrupt,
Yeah,
and they're automatically going to assume it. They're always going to assume it. So
yeah.
then we should learn to trust the system and allow it to take its place and allow it to, investigate
But
this.
But I think there's a big difference between like you and me talking about how you should trust the system and how like a black dude on the ground, having an encounter with the police might feel about it because he might feel like, no, it is corrupt as fuck. They are racist. They're persecuting me, and we can disagree just as like
Oh
some
yeah,
random dudes.
I can immediately.
But that fucking dude, that's how he feels, and you're just like, what his feelings
So,
are
so do I
total
have to go
bullshit.
by his feelings? So does his feelings mean anything? If a normal black guy says, "Yeah, well, the system's corrupt," so that must mean it's corrupt because his feelings, he got butthurt over something.
I don't. Well, it's not that he necessarily got butthurt. He might be scared for his life. He might be like,
Well, hey,
when
he
he's walking
showed
around
you.
his neighborhood, he might feel in danger because of the police. I mean, and you might say he's being
Okay, but let me
unreasonable
ask
and
you:
he's full of shit.
if you're a young black man, or just black men in general, living in the United States, what do you have to fear more, the police or gangs? Something that you truly have a chance of being killed by.
Wouldn't it depend where you live? If you live in a
Okay,
gang area, I guess gangs.
okay,
Yeah.
but what most likely more people dying from gangs than they are from police shootings. This is fact. You can look it up.
Yeah, no, but I'm not doing an either or. I'm saying that like people who are afraid of the police exist, you know? And that's like half of the grievance. Like I know people say fuck feelings, like fuck the fifis and shit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, fuck the feeling. Because at the end of the day, the truth is the truth. I mean, we have to trust the system to a certain extent. I mean, if you automatically look at it as I'm not going to trust the system, then yeah, I guess to you the system's always failing. Then
Yeah.
there's always going to be the problems that we see. But I mean, if we look at the guy's criminal record and we look at the video evidence and we let the investigation happen, then we should trust the outcome. I don't think we have a system in place that's like, oh yeah, we got to make sure the cops are always innocent and
Well,
we have to
then
bring down the black man.
but then my question would be, if you think like fuck the feelings and that like it's all justified or whatever and there's no racism, etc.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. Okay, I'm thinking it's justified because it looks justified. But
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I'd much rather allow the investigation happen and prove me wrong, and I will immediately accept whatever the outcome is, because that's the best we can do. But if I sit there and go with my feelings like they did with Michael Brown, and evidence showed that even the witness was like, yeah, this fucker didn't have his hands up. Yeah, this dude was attacking the cop. He was going for his gun. And even black people in that area were like, I would have shot the dude. Even after all that came out, even after everything was shown that Michael Brown was wrong, people still think he was an innocent, gentle giant.
I think what random people would have done is irrelevant. It's about what the cops do. You know, if other people are like, I would have shot him, like, who cares what they would have done? They're not the cops. They're just
but
people.
I mean, but that's the problem. In the black community, they automatically assume cops are bad. They're taught that they're bad.
I know, and yeah, and that's exactly what I'm saying. You're saying like kind of like fuck those feelings and stuff, but then I've got a question about that.
Okay.
Then what the fuck do you do? Like if you're just like, you know, because I've seen Black Lives Matter activists and stuff go on like TV and like I was just watching a guy who defends Black Lives Matter on Fox News, and the anchor is just talking over continuously, like that guy just going on and on about like black crime and like what about the gangs and like all of that stuff.
Okay, but that's the thing.
And the guy,
okay.
Wait, just let me finish my question.
Yeah.
The guy was all like getting like real frustrated because like she just didn't give a fuck about anything he was saying, and I think like that is not going to make anything less tense.
Okay, that's true. I didn't watch
like,
that.
When people are in the streets
let's
protesting,
say I take your
fighting.
word on that. Okay, let's say I take your word on that. But we don't beat our protesters up. Our people can protest in our country. Cops kill more white people. You know this, right? They kill more white people. I think the problem is it is the media's fault. You can say it's on proportionately they kill more white people. But the thing is, black people commit more crimes. This is facts. I mean, you're talking about a population of 13.2% of the black community, and out of it, like 3-4%, which are young men. And I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying that's where the problem stems, with that 3-4%. And they're committing over 54% of all homicides.
I'm not going to deny that there's obviously big issues with crime in black communities. I mean, yeah, I get it. But I'm just saying like when people perceive that there is like this injustice against black people and then they protest and then the tensions rise and they get worse, what do you think people should do? Because like some people are like the police should get harsher and they should clamp down more and there should be like more punitive action.
Okay, well, first place you have to allow people to protest. We allow people to protest.
Yeah.
We allow that. I mean,
like, do we ramp it up?
No, allow people to protest. That's always an option. Allow people to protest. Whatever they believe, allow them to do it.
Yeah.
Now, if they're protesting, if they're violently rioting and breaking shit and all that, then you ramp up the police. You have no choice when it comes to that. You have to. If people are protesting is one thing, but if they're just rioting, and I'm not saying they're all doing that. I'm obviously not saying that. And I can't believe I have to say not all. But you have to allow people to protest, but you also have to stop people from rioting.
But do you think that counteraction by the cops could get out of proportion?
What do you
because
mean
there was a
counter? What do you mean
video.
by counteraction? I'm sorry. What, like if the
Well, like
cops
you
are
said,
alive?
no, you said that when if they're riding and
Yeah, beat the shit out of 'em. I don't care. Whatever you want, rubber bullet them. I don't give a fuck. There's no need to riot if you're allowed to peacefully protest.
Yeah, but
I,
is there any point at which the police counter reaction to that, like dealing with it like rubber bullets, beating people and shit, would get out of proportion? You'd be like, okay, they're going too far.
I mean, if they're
Yeah.
killing people and they're breaking people's legs, yeah, obviously, but that's not happening.
You just said beat the shit out of them.
I was being funny, but I mean,
Oh,
I was
okay,
being
yeah.
sarcastic. No, I mean, you have to have police there once protests are there. You always have to have police there. You also
Hmm.
have to have a readiness because you don't know. You're gonna have some asshole trying to try to spark shit. You need the cops there. So yeah, you
But
always have to
do you
have.
think? But like, do you think? Because I think this is a concern of Black Lives Matter. However you feel about the movement,
Okay,
if it's racist and shit and stupid or whatever, that it seems like cops use excessive force and that they should be more judicial with
but
their application of force. Do
okay,
you agree that there could be a concern about that, or you don't?
okay. Well, here's a concern.
Yeah.
Once again, let's go back to stats. Blacks commit more crimes than anyone else. Would you agree to that? And any community
Um,
out there, white, Latino, Asian, Armenian, Jewish, whatever, Japanese, whatever, they are committing the most crimes.
yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I mean,
Okay,
it's complicated, but just on a basic statistical, just like looking black and white at the stats, yeah, yes.
okay. So if the police deal with them more, there's a
Yeah.
reasoning behind it. It's not because we hate them niggers, so we're gonna beat them and we're gonna give them a living hell. No, they're going to deal with them more because statistics show that from this group, from this community, from this area, let's say I don't know Brooklyn, whatever. I don't know where the bad areas are, Memphis, whatever. We're
Mm,
having the most problems, right? So like Ferguson, it's pretty
yeah.
dangerous, right?
Yeah.
So if there's more cops involvement there, then there's a reason behind it, such as drug selling, such as gang banging, murders, Grand Theft
Right.
Auto,
Yeah, but
robbery.
my question though is, does that mean that they are using force at the exact correct level?
I think yeah, they are. Obviously, and in fact, I think they need to put more cops on the streets. There needs to be
See, I
more cops
think
on the streets in some areas, like Chicago.
I think
Like,
that's where people disagree. I think people
well, of
think that,
course, people disagree with that because if you're coming
yeah.
from a certain community, such as the black community, and you're dealing more with the cops, and you're like, why are these guys always giving us hell? They're not looking at themselves saying, man, maybe we need to fix something. They're looking at it as in these racist fucking assholes will keep on fucking with us.
Why can't it be both? Why can't it be that police force can do their job better and that
Okay, but okay, so how would you do it?
actually
What would you do?
invest
What would you do? So let's use one
in
of the,
protocols, you know,
okay, but they are using protocols.
and better oversight and
But how do you oversight something? So if you're in Chicago where it's just massive gang violence,
hmm.
right? What do you do at that point? Do you just allow things to happen? Do you really think
But
if
I
you
actually
send cops
think
around with flowers saying how you doing that that's going to work?
nah. No, I mean I actually think it makes more sense to think about it from the other angle in terms of this conversation. Like what would you do to make more criminal black communities less criminal? Like what would you do about that
Okay,
side of it?
and I've had I don't know if you know Ross is, but we've had this debate, and I mean
Yeah.
there's a lot of things you can do, but that's on the governmental level. The police are still there to police the streets.
No,
They
but
still have to.
I think the police are oversighted by the
Okay, so
government. You know,
okay, okay.
you can actually do reforms on the police from the government side. What can you
But
do
what would you
on
reform?
the like black
Okay, well let's
community
say this.
side? You know,
Let's give cops cameras. Would that help? Would that make people ease down?
I think would help.
Okay, so we give cops cameras, and then we see that they're not doing anything wrong, and they're using the proper force.
Yeah,
Okay, because that's what I see. I think they use proper force. I mean, I don't think they're.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, you have incidents. Why not? I mean, you're talking about a profession, and in every profession, you're gonna have a few bad apples. That's normal.
of
But
course, yeah.
but that's not. It's not a systemic. It's not an institutional thing. This whole idea that it's systemic racism and institutional is bullshit. There's no facts to back that up. And I know people always go to, well, there's more.
I mean, I personally don't feel expert enough to make such a claim, but
I mean, I'll happily say. I mean, if the stats show that,
I mean, to
oh,
make the claim that it is institutionally racist, I don't know that for sure.
no, I think
But
it's
I
an
also, yeah.
institutional problem in the black community that they're having these things.
No, I was talking about the police.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, the problem is the police is the hammer. I mean, let's be honest. Overall, they're doing the grunt work. They're doing the dirty work. I mean,
Yeah,
what else do you expect them to do? I mean,
yeah.
what would you do? I mean, what would you do to make things better? I mean, if you had to change overnight, what would you do? Less cops on the street?
Well, I mean, yeah, like the drug war. That is a good thing to deal
Okay,
with.
but
Like,
once again,
yeah, fuck.
yeah, I agree, but that's on the government level. That the cops can't stop the drug war. And if
Well,
I mean,
yeah, no, but if you change on the government level, they don't have to like bust everybody for fucking
no, I
like
agree. Yeah,
having some
drugs should be
marijuana. You know?
legalized. I
Yeah, yeah.
100% agree.
It won't
Drugs
fix
should
the
be
problem,
legalized.
but it will help a lot.
No, I think it would help a lot as well. I
Yeah.
think if you legalize drugs and let people do whatever they want to do, they'll
Hmm.
help. They'll make the situation better. But we're talking about once again, we live in the present. We're not legalizing drugs everywhere. I mean, weed is kind of good here
Yeah,
and
but
there.
you change things now for the sake of the future because
Yeah, I know that.
Devin
But
Tracy had that question when he was like, "Do you realize that time is linear and like it moves forward and all that shit?" And it's like, yeah, so you can make changes now and then in the
okay,
future
yeah, I know that.
it could be better.
But I live on the right now. That's what he meant. He lives in the present. We live in the present. As of right now, drugs are not legalized, so we have to have the cops on the streets.
Yeah,
Until we get to that
so
point,
that
we
means
have to do what we keep on doing with the
you have
cops.
to try to fight for some change, even though we can't do shit because we're just random YouTubers, but
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah. No, I know that. But here in the states, we can do that. But
Hmm.
and that's what we're working towards. I mean, there are cities out there in states that have legalized weed.
Yeah, like Colorado and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what the crime rate is over there, but it could have helped. But
Well,
I
fuck,
mean,
and also guns, excessive amounts of guns. But people who love their guns
well,
won't
I
because
love guns. I love guns. But yeah, there
But
should be
but
some
don't you
type of
think the
reforms.
fact like everyone's always going on about like gun control won't work because like Chicago, there's so many guns in Chicago. Well, what about reducing guns in Chicago? You know, if these like insanely more criminal black people didn't have guns, that could probably help the cops feel less scared because they're not going to be like everyone's fucking armed. You know, I think that kind like that we were saying that dude had a gun and he was reaching for it. Maybe he shouldn't have had a fucking gun.
Okay, but that's the thing. I mean, he shouldn't, and maybe if he didn't, what I'm saying is we live in the present. We live in the
Yes.
now. He had a gun. What were the cops supposed to do? I feel you. There should be maybe less guns on the street. Now, I think there should be gun reforms. I think if you had a felony and you showed that you tried having sex with a child, you shouldn't have a gun. If you showed that you were in any kind of gang, you shouldn't be able to have a gun. I mean,
Yeah.
there should be laws in place, but we live in the now, and in the now, what do we do? So we put more cops on the streets, such as
That's
cities
what I was
like
asking
Chicago.
you. So you do think ramping down on crime more because that's kind of like that's like the Rudy Giuliani method. That's what he wants to do. Well, that's he's like we need more cops, we need more force,
Well,
we
it's not a
need
myth.
more.
I mean, look at New York. I mean, I think crime was cut down with them. I could be wrong, but crime was cut down with them by putting
But
more
would you
cops.
do that? Would you do that on like a national level?
Yes, I would put more cops on, and especially in areas that have high crime. More cops on the streets. I don't know why people find that such an offensive thing.
Hmm. I think because they worry about like a police state and stuff, which
But we're
is
not a police state. Like, dude, have you seen some of the most backward ass countries? Those are police states. We're not a police state. We have gang problems, so we need cops.
but
I
like
mean,
this is completely off topic, kind of like, but
go ahead.
like Alex Jones and shit. He like
Yeah,
made
I
a
don't like that
movie
guy.
like yeah, I know no one does, but like he made a movie like Police State, blah blah blah, like back in the '90s and stuff. And now he's kind of on the like anti BLM train, like he's real pro police. It's just like he did a 180. Like he used to be terrified of the police, and now he's like, we need more police. And it seems
Yeah,
like
no,
based on your politics, you just change your point of view. Like if
no,
you
I mean,
decide,
yeah,
oh,
I mean, I think
BLM, now I
humans
love
overall.
cops.
No, I mean, I think humans can overall change their minds and their opinions. That's why we're humans. But I just think
It's
he's
just
an
funny.
idiot.
Like he's no longer scared of cops because he hates BLM. It's like that's how he
Well, see, I
changed
don't
his
like
mind.
BLM. I don't like BLM, and I don't. I think their mentality is horrendous. I think they're too worried about the supposed police brutality that they're not even focused on their own community. I
Well,
mean,
I
think
agree.
about,
For example, when they tried to shut down the gay parade,
yeah, that was
parade,
horrendous, and then they fucking
it's
jumped in.
fucking
Yeah,
stupid. It's like the worst marketing I've ever seen. Like, what a stupid decision. Like, who made the
but
decision? Like, hey,
because
let's
dude,
interrupt.
they're professional victims. They're privileged kids, most of them in those fucking groups,
I don't
and
know.
they
I just think it seems like it's quite badly organized in terms
no,
of.
yeah, it's like the 99%. It was terribly organized. But
I can probably agree with that. Yeah.
but my whole thing is, fuck, what was I gonna say? God damn. Fuck. So, I mean, yeah, dude, we live in it now. I mean, BLM doesn't worry about black crime. You never hear them talk about black crime. They couldn't even name you one victim killed by a gangbanger,
Yeah,
and
but
that, and
that's
and that
because that's
happens
not
like,
why they were founded.
yeah. I mean, I've heard that excuse before. Well, the whole main thing is police brutality. Well, good job. So you're complaining about the few hundred people killed by the cops, which probably all of them or most of them were justified shootings, and then you're not talking about the real issue that's destroying the black community, which is gang violence and prostitution, and you can barely find a father anywhere in a black
Hmm.
family. You do know that only like 27% of all family black households have like one single parent. That's going to have some effect
But
on the black
that
community.
but that does go to that poverty argument that people say is regressive. They say like, oh, it's regressive to talk about poverty. And
No,
but I
I
don't
don't
see
think it's
why.
regressive to talk
Like
about
community
poverty.
investment,
I
like
don't. No, no,
education,
no.
like building up.
I'll give you that one. I don't think it's
You
regressive
know?
to talk about poverty. I think it does have a thing to play with it, but I can also point to other white poverty areas that are white poverty
But
in the same boat
hmm,
that aren't having the same problems.
you said we live in the present. We just need to ramp up the cops. But I mean, that's not like going to solve anything.
No, it's not going
But
to solve. No, I do agree.
yeah,
Yeah, the government should invest more money into those poor areas, and that can be in either white or black or whatever Latino. But no, I don't think
yeah, like
it's.
if you live in a shithole, it's not that
Well,
surprising
no,
that.
but I think it's regressive if you focus everything on poverty, if that's your main point. Because once again, we do live in the first world where you can get yourself out of poverty and into a better situation. You can. I
The
mean,
whole American dream thing.
well, no, I mean, not only an American dream. I mean, any westernized country, you can do that. I mean, you have those chances. You have those chances better than any shithole in Africa or the Middle East or Asia.
But
You still have those
I
better
mean, fuck,
chances.
you've probably got a better shot in like Norway or Sweden due to like excessive socialization. You just get given shit, you know?
Yeah, maybe, but no, I don't think you can point to everything on poverty. I don't think that's the main thing. I think it's an important thing, but I don't think it's the main thing. But no, I
Hmm.
do agree. We need to put more investments onto poor areas. We maybe fix the roads. You know, that can give people
But
jobs and
that's
all
why
that.
I think it's like all of the above is fine. Like, try to improve policing where you can, and try to improve neighborhoods. Try to reduce the amount of guns.
But it also
Um,
okay. So that could be one way to fix it. But once again,
and
if you
I
look,
know we live in the present, but I mean,
if
it's
I'm
not
going,
going to
no,
be
no,
the
I get that.
present
No,
forever.
I'm not saying you have to clearly live in the present.
Actually, it is technically. It's going to be the
Okay, but
present forever.
I'm not saying you have to clearly live in the present. But I'm saying when you pick a certain situation like Alting Sterling and saying, well, if he didn't have this, and if he didn't have any way to get this kind of gun or this kind of drugs, that would have never happened. Yeah, but if you're saying let's try to fix something and this is what we can do to fix it, yeah, I'm for it.
Hmm.
You,
Sweet. Well, I guess we have some kind of vague agreements.
well, yeah, I mean, I think most people would agree with you on that topic. But I'm saying if you sit there and say, oh, it's mainly poverty, then yeah, you're gonna have some issues.
What do you like? What do you think of the comparison of BLM to the KKK? Because I've seen that flying around.
Uh,
I think that's kind of weird.
I have to give that one to you. I don't think there's a huge comparison. I think when people say that they're angry, and I think they're trying to do that just to get under BLM skin. I do think the rhetoric, a lot of rhetoric, is the same. But
Did you hear about that pigs in the bank blanket frame like
yeah, that's
bacon?
horrible. But you hear that everywhere when it comes to BLM.
But that's only one event, and people just keep bringing it
No,
up
no,
over
that
and
happens
over.
everywhere. I mean, you hear that in
Does it? Okay.
almost everywhere. Yeah,
Because that's the one people always bring up. I'm like, did more than one thing happen? Surely.
yeah,
Just that.
okay, but let's look at it like this. What BLM thinks the way they do because they're uneducated. They don't look at stats. They don't look at anything that shows why this whole idea that BLM is black people are repressed and there's still systemic and institutional racism. I mean, if like I said, I had a big hangout like a few days ago, and I simply told my friends, I was like, you do know the black community is responsible, not all of them, but 3-4% of young men. Out of that 3-4% of young men, 54% or 52% of all homicides in this country are coming from the black community. And I was immediately shown as a racist and a bigot. I mean,
I
if you
would
can't
not
talk
call
about
you a
the
racist or a bigot. I would just say I think that there's more to it than that. I think it's.
what's more
I
to
think
it. I mean,
well,
it's
I think if you just say the black community is responsible and look at the stats and then stop there. It's like, well,
No,
okay,
no, but here's the
but
thing: we
what
have
else? You know,
okay, to fix a problem, you have to admit to the problem. Would you agree to that?
people always say that, but sometimes it seems like a talking point because they don't really know what they mean.
Well, I know what I
Like,
mean when I said it.
if you're a doctor, sure, that makes sense.
Okay, but I mean, if everyone could admit to the problem and admit that there is a problem in the black community, there is a way to fix it. If we need to constantly take political sides, like in the
But
conservatives
but I don't know. I don't agree unless you have a solution. Like, if you just all agree, like everyone stands around and agrees it's the black
okay, but
community,
you have to take
you still have to make a
no, 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 but
decision.
you have to take baby steps to things. I mean, the problem is
But I think that's stupid. We have to sit around and wait for everybody to agree before we can
no,
do a
no,
single
but it
thing.
has to get to somewhere. We have to start seeing that people are starting to agree with it. I'm not saying 350 million Americans have to agree with it. I'm saying,
Well, but I think what you and me are doing right now is good enough, like having a dialogue.
yeah, it's
So,
good enough. But and if more people watch this and they say, hey, you know what? Maybe that Issa dude's saying something smart, or maybe that Tim guy's saying something smart, which you're
yeah.
not, because I'm smarter, dude.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, man.
I'll
No, but
concede that.
seriously, no. If we talk about it and people start listening and agreeing to it, maybe then eventually we can get to the bigger problem.
Right, but
But
they
to
don't
sit here and
have
say
to
we
just
have to
say,
fix this now when everyone's thinking black people are all innocent and every cop is racist who shoots a black person, then yeah, we're never going to fix the problem.
well, I definitely think your buddy's just saying you're racist and bigot and stuff, isn't that?
Yeah,
He's
they meant it. Like they don't even have no they don't even talk to me after that. It's been like 4 days. I don't care, fuck them. But I'm just saying, yeah, that's a problem if they think like that. Then I
well,
don't.
I don't want to be insulting, but sometimes I just like to you or whoever. But sometimes I think, well, people are just kind of ignorant, and
Yeah, people are ignorant, but
because I can't fucking read their minds. I can tell if they like lack some information, but I can't tell if they're full of hate and they're racist and stuff. Like, unless they explicitly say I am a Nazi and whatever, then I'm like, oh,
no,
okay, you are
I know
racist.
that. But if I'm sitting there and I'm showing you stats and I'm giving you reasons why, and I'm telling you this is the reason why the black community is this dangerous, or they're having the problems that they're having,
Oh,
and
but
then
I mean, I
your
heard you.
immediate answer is I'm a racist, then yeah, then that person's ignorant.
Well, but I heard you assess the problem, like, whatever percentage, 70 something percent of crimes, blah blah, committed by black people, something. But what I didn't hear you say, like the reasons. I guess it's that whole black culture thing, but I don't know how
Okay,
I
I
feel
mean,
about
okay,
that
so to me,
because
okay, reasons. Why do I think it's like that? Okay, well, first place, black families. There are no black families. I mean, if you take 100
yeah,
black families, 27 of them are like families, literally families, a father, a mother, and the kids.
I heard Bill O'Reilly say that. He's like the breakdown of the black family. Like
Well,
that's
I
one of
mean,
his
he
big
can be right. He can be a
things.
dipshit and be right on a few things. And then, so not only that, I do
Okay.
think the black culture is a little bit dangerous if you look at it. I mean, let's be honest. I'm not one of those people who say video games and music is the cause of everything. But if you look at rap, it does show, has some violent tendencies to it. Would you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but I don't think like rap music drives violence. I think it
No, no.
reflects violence. It
Yeah, it
reflects.
reflects it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. It reflects it. I
Yeah.
do also think there should be investments in these poor areas.
Hmm.
So these kids have no jobs, a lot of them. So obviously they're gonna want to, they're gonna want to join gangs, right? I mean, if they have no
Yeah.
jobs and anything like that, or if it's an easier way to make money selling drugs on the streets, then yeah, they're gonna join gangs and they're gonna do violent things. So that's why I also agree with legalizing drugs.
But I also think like if they choose to go into rap instead and they become a successful rapper and
I'm
make lots
fine
of
with that.
money,
I don't
it's
give a
like
fuck. They can talk about all the bitches and hoes they get. I don't give a fuck. None of
like
that.
Easy E, that guy's hilarious. Even though he died of AIDS, which is kind of sad, but
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that rap was the cause of violence, but I'm saying, yeah, okay, it does reflect the violence of the black community. But that's a
yeah,
problem, dude.
people are pissed off.
Yeah, yeah, but like I said, it's families. You'd be lucky if you can find a father.
But
It,
there are like some socially conscious rappers like who rap about like poverty and the fact that things need to improve and like people's lives being difficult and shit. They don't just talk about bitches and hoes and whatever. But I think there is too much like bitch hoe whatever music.
yes,
Just like there's too much shitty pop music about just like fucking
yes,
a
but I
girl
mean,
or
the
something.
difference is pop music's not violent; it's annoying, right? Would you admit that?
Yeah, it
I
is.
mean,
Yeah. Well, it's pretty shallow too. It's just like
yeah, it's shallow.
yeah.
So I mean, you get the little Biebers, right? They're all depressed, little 14-year-old girls. So I mean,
Yeah.
everything is a reflection on the people, right? But I mean, in the black community, no fathers. Okay, a lot of no fathers join gangs because there's no real investments or futures into the areas. So maybe we need to invest some. And yeah, let's end the drug wars.
Hmm. But I
And
mean,
that,
occasionally you have rappers rapping about how their father left, and
yeah,
then some other guy came along and abused their mother and shit, and blah, 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 and then they made a successful rap career, and I think that's kind of like the American dream. And then people like kind of try to shit on those dudes, but I think that's like a success story. But other people, yeah, they just get caught up in the fucking gangs.
so I mean, I didn't want to stay on this whole BLM and black gangs and all that because we can talk about it for hours. I want to talk about your video, man. That's really what I want to talk about because, dude, I'm gonna be honest, man. That video really got under my skin.
What do you mean?
I get that you were being sarcastic in that video. I get what you were trying to do because you thought
extremely sarcastic. Yeah.
But anti SJW people like rape. What do you feel about that, man? Where did that come from?
Oh, that's a straw man. It's a straw man. That's the point. All of my questions. The whole point of that video was I was saying, I don't care about anything you think. I'm not listening to you. I don't give a fuck. And I'm just gonna like ask questions that make you look stupid, and you can't answer them without looking like a terror. Like, do you really think I would ask someone like one of my questions was, anti-SJWs don't seem to care about rape. Like, who have you raped? Do you think I would ask that question?
No, I know that. No, I know. That's the thing. As soon as what pissed me off was I knew immediately where you were getting at with that video. I knew immediately. But my thing was, what baffled me is what was so ridiculous about TJ's video. I think it was a good video, and if anything, it made me a fan of his because I didn't like the guy at all.
Because I feel like all of the questions were like, when did you stop beating your wife? 480 questions.
I mean,
like mine was like a satire, so it was way harsher. But their questions were like, Sargon's question was, do you think it's okay to live in a state of emotional immaturity forever? And it's like, what kind of fucking question is that? I would answer that, go fuck yourself. That's how I'd answer that question.
Yeah, but you see where he got that from. I mean, let's look at it. Let's look deeper.
Like I said before, he needs to be specific about who he's talking about.
Yeah, but it's a 6-minute video, man, and we should know what he's trying to talk about. I mean, we should kind of get what he's trying to come at with it. I mean,
I care about social justice issues, and people call me an SJW. But if they ask me a question like that, I'll just say, fuck off.
So safe spaces, and you think schools should have safe spaces, universities?
That's a complicated question. I think.
I mean, you really think
small individual groups potentially?
A young adult needs a safe space because Milo's at your school talking about Donald Trump, and you're triggered. You need a safe space to hide into and cry. You really think kids who are going to eventually be the futures of our countries need a safe space? What does that tell about those kids?
My response to that would be, I don't care. Like, if they want to go into the corner and cry in a safe space, why would I care? Like, just go do it. Like,
I get it, but these are the same kids who get speakers. They stop speakers from coming to the universities.
Yeah, well, that's a different question. I'm not sure how I feel about stopping speakers talking, but I think if they want to go into their safe space, I don't really give a fuck. Like, So if I went to university and they set up a safe space and some people were in there, I would just walk past and be like, okay.
Yeah, but I get you. So I get where you're coming from. You don't care because that's not you. But can you see where the problem lies into that? Can you see the immaturity of that? You're a 19, 18, 20-year-old, 21-year-old, 22-year-old adult, right? You're going to be paying taxes soon. You're going to be having a job. You might be going to school to become a rape lawyer, but you get offended and you need to hide in a corner because of the word rape. Can you see the problem in that?
I can see that. But I think like that's why I had a problem with that video, because they have a boogeyman, which is SJW. And then they just ask all these really vague questions of this like nebulous boogeyman. But it's like, if you're someone that agrees with social justice and is actually kind of progressive, and you hear questions like that, you just get annoyed because they're stupid questions. So it's how would they feel if I asked questions that bundled all of them into this, racist, rapey fucking stew of bullshit?
Yeah, but here's the thing.
And then it kind of triggered you.
I don't think it triggered me. It was like, what made me mad was I get where you were coming at, but it's the way you handled it. I think you could have done it a whole lot better, but I mean, that's on you. I mean,
Look, man, when I watch it, I laugh hysterically. I think it's hilarious.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, man. It's always good to laugh at your own shit. But what I'm saying is, we do have to admit to the truth. The truth is, at universities today, all over the world, mostly Western world, kids are privileged little shits. To tell someone because he's a cis gay male he can't be in charge of a LGBT community because he has too much white privilege, that's racism.
Well,
And
then I would just say, why didn't they ask that question? Why did they just make it really fucking fake?
I think what you're getting, but my problem is you're looking too much into the video itself, saying, well, why weren't they specific? Well, shit, if they were specific,
that was the point of my video. That's
why
I
understand that video, but I get you. But the video would have been like an hour and something long if it was that.
No, it wouldn't. It just would have had better questions.
Okay. Okay.
Like, instead of saying, why are you for racial segregation? The question would have been, do you support Black Lives Matter members who are for racial segregation? Like, why or why not?
I'll give you that. How about that? Fair enough. Let's agree. I agree with that. Fair enough. I'm cool with how the video was made.
Well, how about Sargon? His question would have been like, do you support putting safe spaces in universities and people trying to stop speakers and blah, 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 and how can you justify it?
Okay,
but his question was, why are you a giant baby who cries like a bitch?
But it wasn't exaggerating what they were asking. Would you admit to that? Nothing that they were saying was exaggerating anything.
The way that they asked the questions? Yes, I think yes.
Nah, man. Really, dude?
I said the way they asked the questions. I'm just talking about the questions themselves. And I have no problem making fun of just the way people choose to do stuff. Like, but if they could ask legitimate questions like, do you support safe spaces in universities? And if you do, how do you justify it? That would be quite interesting. And then I would actually be forced to think.
So let's get to Sargon. Let's get to Sargon real fast because he made a petition like a month ago, right? You know what's petition?
Yeah, I kind of saw that. Yeah.
So he wants to end all social justice, not social justice. What's it? Social justice.
Social justice courses.
Yeah, I agree with that. I signed a petition. I know it was vague, but
I didn't I don't know what that means, to be honest. I tell you, man, it's like a different language sometimes. Like people tell me, like, you think this, you think that, you're regressive history, blah blah blah, and it's
I try not to take that approach.
They're speaking Swahili. I'm like, I don't even know what you're referring to.
I know that, but I think like I said, dude, you're salvageable, man. We love you, dude. I know some people hate you, but you got a group of people like you. And we're trying, man. We're trying with you, dude. And
wait. Somebody said, I think it was Taz, that convert me to what?
Taz will try. He will Taz you if he doesn't succeed.
Convert to what? Like, convert to thinking like Taz. Like, I think like me. I'm my fucking self. And
I agree. Snowflake. You should think the way you want, but I think you should also be open to other ideas. And I think you are sort of, but I think you're still hampered on some bad ideas.
I'm definitely open to ideas, but they need to be fully fleshed out.
You said you hate. You think people who are anti-SJW, right? I think let's try to fix that real fast.
Internet phraseology, and it's just like an incredibly shallow and stupid lexicon.
So I don't think overall no one is against social justice. No one is.
Exactly.
So, but I think what we are against are the SJWs, the people who want to have the 70 genders, the people who believe in white privilege, the people who throw around systemic and institutional racism, the people who always go back to the past and say colonialism and slavery and all this shit.
Well, I know SJW is the popular thing to call them, but I just call them like PC liberals. That's the way I think of them. They're just like PC people PC's been around since the 90s. I mean, Dinesh D'Souza came up with it, and he's a Christian apologist, but I mean, it'll do. Like, yeah, fucking PC people.
I mean, he's smart on a lot of things, but yeah, I agree. He is a Christian apologist, but he's also smart. Like, he took down Cenk Uygur. Like, he was a lord of shit that he is.
Yeah. Well, we won't go into that, but yeah, PC is good enough.
You do like TYT, don't you, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I always forget about that. So
I know that's verboten.
No, well, here's the thing. I think you can watch news over whatever you want, but what is it about TYT? I don't think you're an avid watcher. I don't think you sit down and watch it every day, or do you?
I watch it most days. I'm a member.
Man, we're gonna have some issues now. So what is it about Cenk Uygur you like? Because he is a buffoon.
He is a bit of a dick, and
not a dick, an ignorant dick, a dumbass.
I don't know about a dumbass. I like their
So
like political coverage. I
someone who
think.
doesn't admit to the Armenian genocide
Oh
is
yeah,
a
but I've acknowledged that, and I think like he really fucked up with that.
that's a
So
big fuck up. That's like saying I don't believe in the Holocaust. I mean, that is the
no, I
equivalent.
agree. Yeah, I mean that was
So
a fuck
someone,
up.
so, yeah, okay. So someone who doesn't admit to the Armenian genocide, why would they be a responsible person to listen to, a reliable person?
But I listen to like anyone. Like I used to religiously watch Fox News. Um, and I completely disagree with them. But I watch Hannity and Bill O'Reilly every single day because I find it interesting. Um, I'll watch anything. Like the tribalism on the internet's annoying. If I say I like TYT because it's like interesting, people instantly spaz out and just fucking lose their shit. But I'm not going to apologize for the fact that I watch whatever the fuck I want to watch. You know, I mean, you
Okay,
know,
so
yeah.
Sarah Palin. So he did a video today of Sarah Palin, I think today or yesterday,
Hmm.
right? And he took a quote that she said and misquoted her. Like I forget what it was, something about people, and she really said peaceful. She about BLM,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And not only did he misquote her, he read the same quote that took the word people that he said people and said peaceful. What she was trying to say, dude, he's a liar, man. I'm just saying that's my thing. He's a liar, and he never goes back on his mistakes. And the
Hmm.
problem with me with TYT is it's just like what's his name, Don,
Who?
Alex Jones, or that fat guy. What's his name? The fat one who sounds like he's gonna eat the micro.
That could describe a lot of people. The
No,
fat guy.
the one who talks like that. I have to remember his name, but he's like that. He's like Alex Jones, but I think Alex Jones is a little bit more respectful because you know that guy's trying to like bullshit half the time.
He's a fucking maniac,
He is a
Alex Jones.
maniac, but the problem with TYT is he has an influence, a bigger influence.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, right here. BLM are not peaceful to BLM are not people. So he misquoted this from Sarah
Oh,
Palin.
I
He
did
said,
see that.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and then he
I
read the
saw that.
same quote and that said the same thing, and he was too dumb to realize it. That's embarrassing, man.
Wow, that just sounds like he made a mistake, doesn't it? Like he misheard it.
But he didn't even make a video retracking it.
Yeah, he should have.
And he should have realized it as soon as he read it.
Hmm. Yeah, because I mean, I watched that video and I thought she said people too.
Yeah, but I
So
mean, but that's why they have people sitting there quoting her.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, no, he should definitely have done a retraction. I do think that's a big problem with
but dude,
Jink is that
he
he's
doesn't do
really
it.
he's not good at admitting when he's done something wrong. And
Okay,
there's actually been other times when he's like having a debate with someone, and I totally agree with the other people. But he just won't acknowledge or change his mind. However, I don't think that's unique to Cenk Uygur. Obviously, it's a problem because he's influential, as you
okay.
said.
He's influential. Keyword influential. He has influence,
Right.
so he bends the narrative towards him.
Right, but like
He was
so, but
biased towards
so,
Hillary Clinton. He loved Bernie Sanders, so
yeah.
he went out of his way to make her into this evildoer. And he's, you know, he went out of his way to constantly make these excuses up for Bernie Sanders. And
Hmm.
to stroke this narrative. It's not news when you're biased, in my opinion. And
No,
it's
but you
yeah,
know,
Russell, there you go. Thanks.
I cannot think of because people have these like people they watch that they really respect and they like I don't know some people like Devin Tracy is always great or like this person's always great or like
Okay,
whatever is always great.
let me be fair.
I
If
don't
I
have a
saw the
single
okay, well,
person
I get that. Let me
that
get this.
I will always agree with and think is right.
Okay,
This is not a
and there's
single
flying
person.
monkeys in my
Not
chat right
Cenk.
now. There's
No.
flying monkeys in chat. I'll say this:
Yeah.
if Devin Tracy seemed like a liar, it seemed like he was bullshitting around, and he had a narrative to bend people to think like him, and he was bullshitting like that,
You
I
think
would.
he doesn't have a narrative
I
that he
think
pushes every
I
day?
think the dude is
Of
after
course he
the
does.
truth. I think the dude is seeing the bullshit and he's calling it out on it. And I think people don't like him because of that. But if he was like a Cenk Uygur, I would fucking drop that dude like a bad habit.
But so
Immediately.
you're just saying what makes somebody true is how much they believe their own
No, what I'm saying is if you
stuff.
lie,
They're saying like you know.
doesn't lie.
No,
You
but
can
if you
have
really,
your
really,
opinion.
really believe what you're saying, you're not going to notice whether you lied or whatever. Like, I think Cenk is a
Yeah,
very
but
kind
also
of
Devin
arrogant
Tracy
person
isn't the
who
news.
can't admit
Atheism
mistakes.
is unstoppable isn't the news. TYT says they're the news. And when you call
They say
yourself
that
the news, when you call yourself the news, you have to at least follow that to the T. They
but they
literally
do
make,
admit that they're liberals. Like, they admit that
which
they're
is fine, and you know Fox
progressive.
News is conservative, but once you lie and you don't retract on a lie, or you make a mistake and you don't retract on it, why are you good? I mean, there's got to be some journalistic, you know.
Well, look, man. I mean, the same reason that I don't call you a racist for your views on BLM is the same reason I don't call Jank a liar, because I'm, like I said, I'm not a mind reader, and I
Okay, no,
think
I
he
do that.
could
Okay,
just be a really fucking arrogant dude who's not willing to admit when he makes
okay.
mistakes. And
But what
sometimes he's like, when he talks to Anna, he fucking talks down to her a lot. You know, it gets irritating. It's like he doesn't fucking listen. And I've always had that problem with the TYT ever since I started watching them. But I still find their stories like interesting and shit. They
okay,
talk
and
about a
that's
lot
fine.
of
And people
interesting
give me shit
things.
for liking Vice. I love Vice. I love it. I know
Like
people
what?
say it's a bit regressive, but I love Vice. I mean,
Vice?
Vice News and Vice. I love
I,
Vice.
I think saying Vice, like
Vice.
Angel
It's
Vice.
Vice. It's Vice.
I
Vice.
like Vice. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I get what you're saying. But dude, once someone who can't admit to the Armenian genocide, that's someone I don't want to watch anymore. That's like, holy
That's
shit, dude.
no, but I agree. Like I looked into that and I was like, you know, oh, people are smearing Jenk and they're just giving him shit and whatever. And then someone sent me the article from like 1992, and I was like, holy shit, he actually did write that. And then he wrote another one in 2004, and I was like, this is like probably one of the most legitimate criticisms I've seen of Jenk before. And then I was like, this seems kind of shit. You know, he really fucked up. And then he gave a kind of like semi-retraction recently, but yeah. No, I had a problem with that. I was like, that's a
Okay,
legitimate thing. So
we're gonna get you out of that, dude. We're gonna make you hate TYT by the end of the month. I promise this.
I don't
But
hate anybody except
we're gonna have
Devin
to teach you what
Cristiano.
hatred is. No, but what was I gonna say? So because I'm about to end this one here soon because I was hungry, man. I was be hungry. No, but so you said you had some questions for me because we said this beforehand. What questions do you have for my anti-regressive SJW hatred?
Fuck. I'm pretty sure I had a question and now I've just completely blanked because we've been talking about too much other stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Come on, Tim. You're better than this, man.
maybe I'm not.
Come to the dark side.
Maybe it's a fucking hope, you know? Nah, but I appreciate, like, okay, well, nah, that's not a question. How, so the flying monkeys like you now? No, that's too drama based.
I don't care. Ask it. I don't care. I think they like
I
me.
thought they hated you, but you
Some
had
hate
to
me.
hang
Some
out.
like me. No,
You
I
had to
mean,
hang out
I
with
think that was
Devon
all.
and
Yeah, no, I mean, I think some hate me. Some like me. That's why I don't. I mean, we're people. I mean, there's some people that are gonna hate me, and there's some people that are gonna like me, and there's some
how did
people I'm
that
gonna
hang
have to
out with
understand.
Devon come about? Like, how do you end up in your
I don't know. I asked him. He's
podcasting?
come to my hangouts a few times, or at least a time. Devin's a cool
Oh,
dude,
okay.
man. He's a normal guy like me and you, and he's
I
bald like me. So I'm always gonna
I
look
guess
up to
that's true.
anyone who's bald, dude. We gotta
Oh,
rock the baldness.
oh wait, I got a question. What was the
Yeah,
deal with that 14-year-old you were talking to? What's that guy all about?
14-year-old. What about him?
He had the "Make Trump Great Again" hat, and he has a panda bear.
Oh, Bundy Bear. Yeah, Bundy Bear.
What's the deal with that dude?
He's a junior Taz. We'll put it like that to you. He's a junior
He's like a
Taz.
Taz in progress.
He's a Taz in progress, but he's also he also he's also a cool kid. I like Bundy Bear.
Do
So
you agree
Bundy
with
Bear's under
his
my
Trump
wing. No,
supporter?
yeah, I don't care. I mean, I like Bundy Bear. Bundy Bear's my homie, even though he says I'm a basket weaver, but I'll still accept him.
You're like, oh, there's a regressive in the chat, and then he's just got a real funny voice, like his lispy thing. It's like, hey, there's regressive.
Yeah. No. He's a cool kid. I think I'll tell you this. I've always said this. He will go into any community and trigger them. That's who he is. He triggers everybody, and he's proud of that. He's just
So he should have a trigger warning wherever he goes.
yeah. He should have a shirt that says trigger warning.
Yeah. Oh, and fuck, here's another random question.
Okay, go
How do you
ahead.
feel about the whole Amos Lee thing?
Amos Lee. Now here's my thing.
Yee, not Lee.
I don't really
Yee.
pay attention to a lot of this shit because it's so much going on, and I work a lot. But
Hmm.
I think the kid. I'm gonna give him some credit, and then I'm gonna take a shit on him. I think the kid was brave for the things he did into Singapore, right? Because I do know they are shit when it comes to freedom of speech, and
Right.
you can't say whatever you want. But I also think the kid is a pervert for saying something about child porn,
Hmm.
and I think he went from being someone who could have a lot of influence to just now being just having his 15 minutes of fame.
I think
So
he's another example of like edgelorders edgelordism culture, like people just trying to be edgelords.
Yes, but I
You know,
also think
once you start trying to be offensive, and that's all you care about, then you'll just start saying shit like child porn's great and you should fuck babies and
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
I agree. But here's the thing: I think people like him, not Amos Lee, but I think the Bundy is in the same category because Bundy says shit that's similar to that, but not like child porn. He's like into to grannies.
What?
Well, it's fine. You know, hey, it's whatever, dude. You know, at least he's aiming up on age. But
Yeah.
I think there is a good cause for people like that. Now, Amos Lee to me is a pile of shit for trying to even when as far as saying making a video that's saying child porn should be illegal and all that. Yeah, no, fuck him. Seriously.
I did
As
find
Julian
it
says,
funny,
fuck him into
like
here.
everybody jumped on the Amos Yee bandwagon, and I just was observing this, and everyone's like, "Yeah, Amos Yee," and he went on Dave Rubin and stuff, and now everyone's like, "Oh,
Honestly, I
wait,
watched like 5 minutes of that Dave Rubin report. I think that was the one I hated the most. He sounds like a little girl. I thought he was a girl at first. First time I
so did
saw him.
I." Yeah, I thought he was too.
Yeah, he is a little bitch, and I
I'm
do
not even
think
kidding. I was like, "Who is this girl? Like, what's she been doing?"
yeah. Well, no, I think, and also he showed some people disrespect. I think he kind of went back and forth with, I think Devin and someone else who kind of had his back, who
Yeah.
kind of helped made it come get onto that Dave Rubin show.
But you know, you're saying Jenk should like admit his mistakes. Do you think Dave Rubin should be like, "Hey guys, just want to apologize for that Amos Yee interview.
No,
Turns out he's a
because that's not a
creep."
mistake. Look. It's like me saying a mistake if I interviewed the outspoken realist. I mean, if I want to interview him, I'll interview him. But I mean, no, it's not. There's a difference from doing from interviewing someone. That's never a mistake. Interviewing
Well, like putting them
anyone
on a
isn't.
platform.
No. You can put them on the platform, but if they take a shit on themselves, then that's their mistake. But instead of that, or me saying, yeah, the Armenian genocide, I'll just apologize. I won't even apologize. There's two
But I think
significant differences.
But I think that's the problem with Dave Rubin's interviews. They're always so softball and they're just exploring the person. But
Well,
if the person turns out to be a scumbag like Amos Yee, like you've spent like an hour like with softballing this dude who turns out to be a creepball, you know?
yeah, but here's the thing: no one knew about him into child pornography or whatever, or if that's what. I'm not trying to tell the kid he's into that.
Yeah, but that hour of like Dave Rubin filleting Amos Yee is still on the internet. So if I was Dave Rubin, I'd be like,
Yeah,
yeah, I just want
but
to
that's the
point out
thing. I
that this
mean,
guy
yeah, I
turned
get
out
that,
different than I expected.
but that goes back to again. That kid is still showing something wrong with Singapore. We're talking about Singapore here,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
This is one of the
No,
wealthiest
that
countries in the
aspect
world.
of him, yeah, that aspect was fine. I
Yeah,
guess
and I'm
that's what
pretty
the
sure if you ask Dave Rubin, what do you think about him into child pornography, he'd be like, yeah, that kid's fucked up. Well, who wouldn't?
Yeah, I don't know. He doesn't, but he never seems to challenge people's fucked up views that much. I mean, he did a little bit of pushback on Milo Yiannopoulos, but like generally he just sort of he gives pretty easy interviews. I mean, that seems
Well,
to be
I
what he
also think,
likes to
I think
do.
because he's coming, I also think because he's getting used to this whole, anti-SJW mentality, and he's thinking the way he's thinking. I think he's still new to it, and I think he's sucking it all in. He's trying to learn it all, and I think it's
But
maybe playing with a lot of his questioning. But overall, I like Dave Rubin. I think he does a good job.
but he doesn't want to get on people who like he super disagrees with. Like, could you picture him getting like Cenk or Reza Aslan or fucking Glenn Greenwald on his show? They're always like, they're too dishonest. We can't talk to them. They're liars.
Yeah.
But
So
he's not into the whole combat deal, like the
I
interviews
think
and
he
shit.
is. I mean, if you saw him at TYT when he fucking fought, what's his name, dipshit, Jimmy Fuckface, the tongue guy.
Jimmy Fuckfaced.
Yeah, the guy who's supposedly a comedian, which isn't really a
Jimmy Dore,
comedian.
yeah.
Yeah, tongue.
I
And
agree. He's not that
yeah,
funny.
no, he's not fine, and he's on there because he follows a narrative, which is fine. That's what TYT wants to do. But let's get to this real fast. So I found you. I found you. I didn't find you. I guess you found me. But I knew of you from the interview with Julian. What do you think about Julian, man? What do you think about you and Julian's interview?
Well, I mean, I already said I found it a little annoying because I feel like he's trying too hard to like trip me up and shit, and I'm just more interested in like having conversations. Like I said to you before this hangout, like don't ask me to just defend BLM or Islam or whatever.
Yeah, and then I get you
And
to defend it, right? Nope.
no, we just talked about it, and that's awesome. That's what like
Yeah, man,
because
I'm
I don't agree with fucking Islam. I'm not here to defend Islam, and like I'm not a BLM member. I just have opinions and shit. And I feel like Julian just trying too hard. Like somebody has to be right, and someone has to like own
I mean,
someone,
okay.
and it
Well,
gets tiresome. You get tired of.
let's
Like,
go. Let's compare him. Hey, let's say. I mean,
yeah.
you wanted to be more aggressive. Julian was aggressive with you, man.
I know, but it gets boring. To be
I
honest.
got you.
Like,
I got you. But
know,
now we know. Now we know you're not pro. You're not pro BLM. We know that you might like some of the things.
I have opinions on BLM, and they're not as harsh as a bunch of other people's. That's about it. I just have less of a harsh and less of a condemning view, and more of a like, okay, there's pretty bad aspects to it, and then I can get that there's some concerns. But like some people are just like, no, fuck it all. It's like the KKK. It's the worst. It's racist. It's the, I don't really agree with that either. So,
Yeah.
Nuance.
Nuance. Yeah, man.
Fuck
nuance. No, but seriously, dude, I think overall you're a good guy. I think you've proven yourself so far a little bit. I think you still have some regressive tendencies that we need to.
My plan is to regress even more in the coming months. So like in 2 months, you'll be like,
you wanna break my heart.
Yeah, I'll be like Amos Ian, Dave Rubin.
I'm like 400 pounds, and that just giving me a heart attack.
Oh shit! Sorry.
Yeah, man, that's cool, man. That's fine. You want to kill me? I get you. But
and you wanted food as well, so that's a good segue.
Man. Pushing 4 weeks, son. I'm gonna be pushing 4 weeks. No meat, no bad food, losing weight.
Vegan.
Well, I'm trying to, man, but I miss a hamburger. But I know one thing: once I have that hamburger day, I'm gonna do work, son.
Nice.
But we're gonna end this one, peoples. I'd say thanks for stopping by.
I haven't looked at the chat. Has anyone been saying?
No, they love you, dude. They love you.
Unhateful.
Sub to Tim's channel if you like his kind of stuff. If not, don't sub to it. Just dislike it all.
If you like my straw manning of people.
Yes. And sub to Issa. Sub to my channel because I'm trying to beat Julian in sub match. But y'all take it easy.
Yeah, I hope you beat Julian, that piece of crap.
Man. Jesus.
Fuck that guy. Nah, just kidding.
All right, peace, guys.
Never mind.